Hi everybody, I'm Dee Dee Vergatos from InTheKnowRadio.com, and I'm here today with Martin Castor Peterson. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. So nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Martin Castor Peterson has been working with hypnosis since 1998. He is also the CEO, founder, and chief instructor at the Hypno Academy, where he teaches hypnosis throughout Europe and the US. Martin offers a wide variety of training from basic and advanced hypnosis to DNA recovery training, workshops in body language, and soul key therapy training. In 2013, Martin was recognized for his contributions in education when he received the International Hypnosis Federation's Award of Excellence in International Education. So, you've been a hypnotherapist since 1998.
Yeah.
What is it that originally got you into the field of hypnosis?
Well, I was working as a bodyguard, and I was working with television actually, and discovered that my communication skills were pretty good actually. And every time people had to negotiate something, there was kind of like, let's pick up Martin, let him do it. And at some point I actually got a gift certificate for a very spiritual kind of hypnosis called past life regression. And I was like, this is not me. It's not anything for me. I couldn't, I didn't trust it, I didn't do anything with it, but
Right.
I had that experience. I had the most mind-blowing experience.
Really?
And it was not mind-blowing because it was good, actually. It was mind-blowing because I got an experience of there's way more to life than I thought was possible. And the experience was actually also so bad that I felt like if I can have this experience, I can go find a way so more people can get it, but the outcome would be positive. So I kind of wanted to pursue a way of dealing with these issues and have people feel good about it afterwards, because I didn't.
So what was it that made you feel bad? Was it the...
Well, it was kind of like, I had one question going into the session. I came up with 1,000 questions. I didn't know how to cope with the emotions, how to deal with the information I got. It was more like, have a good life, go back home, kind of like from the therapist.
Right.
So I was like, this is not right.
It was maybe the therapist didn't have the adequate training?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
So I felt like still, if I could get this, experience from being so skeptical as I was, it must be easy to have other people get the same experience, but in a way more positive way.
Yeah, where they're not left
Yeah.
dealing with unwanted
Exactly.
emotions.
So that was actually the drive that got me going.
So was past life therapy your first foray into hypnosis?
That was my very first way in, actually, and I spent a couple of years doing only that before I discovered like good hypnosis therapy. So it was actually the opposite way. Usually people go into the
Right.
regular way and then kind of discover the other stuff on the way there, but no, I went in the back door.
And you trained with people who are as well known as Michael Newton.
Michael Newton, Richard Southven, yeah, you name it, I've been there. Yeah.
Wonderful. So what have you seen through doing past life regression with people?
Well, what I've seen, it's through their eyes and their experiences. I've seen people doubting that there's anything more than just, this life. I've seen people progress and have life-changing moments in the middle of a session, from basically random, simple stuff like, hey, I finally accept myself. That could change a life, and I feel that's really amazing in a way, because our conscious minds wants everything to be so complicated, because that must be the explanation, otherwise we could have just have done it. But basically everyone just needs to be able to accept themselves and love themselves on some level, and when they do that, they know exactly what to do with their life.
Okay, and what have you seen that's been more dramatic, like a really concrete change?
Concrete change. Well, I actually had a guy who had a session, and he was in a past life in Spain. He was a very obnoxious person back then. He had the most beautiful wife, and he was not a very beautiful man, but still he gave her everything she could possibly dream of besides love. And what's kind of interesting about that he thought that experience wasn't, anything that would change his life or anything like that, but still there were so many things, parallels in that life, that made him go back home and think about it, and actually realizing, I'm not in love with my life, not even my wife or anything like that. And he called me up the day after and said, I finally did it. I said, what did you do? I told my wife I want a divorce, and I moved out. I was like, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? And he said, no, it's okay. My wife actually, she became happy. It was okay.
So it was okay with both of them.
Yeah, and actually he found a girlfriend afterwards that had been to a past life regression therapist earlier, And she never shared that with him. And he said one night, well, I've actually been to this guy having this experience. And he was talking about that experience. What kind of happened was she was that wife from that past life.
Oh, they met
So they decided to make things right. And it was kind of like goosebumps, right? But everything was just perfectly timed. So that was one of the most emotional, I think, sessions I had, because I knew that guy, so it really meant something.
So I've heard you speak before, and we talked about xenoglossy, like people being regressed into a past life and speaking foreign languages that they have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience?
I've had that experience, even not just language, but also, ability to do something that they were never taught in this life.
Really? So what's an example of that?
Example of that could be understanding Latin, herbs, flowers, how to create medicine from nature. Suddenly be able to write down, recipes and stuff like that. That is pretty amazing, actually. And I had so many people, had past lives in France, Southern Europe, different other places, suddenly being able to speak, the language the way it was like a couple of 100 years ago, because, language changes all the time. And on the recordings, we could actually afterwards go and, research on it. Wow. And have local historians actually prove that that's the way they did it. And that particular person didn't have any knowledge about it. So I feel it's kind of intriguing.
It's very intriguing.
Yeah.
But did they lose the ability to, make the herbal preparations or speak the language when they came out of hypnosis?
Well, what we kind of gotta understand is the purpose of going back to a past life is not to, find old recipes and discover lost languages, something like it. But they have an insight, and if the purpose is to remember that, they will do it. But it's the whole experience of being somewhere else and kind of connect the dots and find the lost skills from back then that is supposedly to help them in this life. So, skeptics say, well, you could go back and, become Mozart and then start playing the piano if you want to. No, you couldn't, because we need something called purpose. And purpose is not the conscious purpose, it's the soul purpose of life. So if that's intact, you will get access, definitely.
Oh, wonderful. And speaking of purpose, have you had people come to you that sort of lost their way and fell off their purpose and then got back on track with the soul key therapy?
Yeah, I kind of feel that most clients is kind of going through that experience, that if they knew what to do, they would have done it.
Right.
So they might have been in some kind of despair for a while, or being frustrated about life, or maybe even just want to leave this world or this earth, but for some reason end up in a chair and get this this with a life-changing experience. I had a friend who got paralyzed from neck down from a stupid accident, really. And he was really, aggressive towards me, because he said, well, I didn't choose this. How could you ever possibly say that people choose their lives? I was like, hey, I didn't say you chose yours, but from experience, I know that's actually a fact. But if you want a session, tell me, right? And we didn't speak for a couple of years, and then he contacted me and said, now's the time. And he wanted to leave this earth, kind of. And he didn't feel well, because everything was working against him. How could this possibly be, a normal way of living his life? He had a session, discovered why he chose this life, and discovered why he was so much more special, and he had more ability to do different stuff than people who could use their body in the way we do, not being paralyzed. And now he's playing rugby, being the chairman of the rugby union for handicapped rugby players in wheelchairs. He has 3 kids, new wife, and all of that, and he's enjoying every moment.
From the neck down still.
He even went skiing in Austria. No, actually not. It was actually Sweden. He went skiing in Sweden with his helpers. A special designed, kind of sled with skis on. Nothing is stopping that guy. So it's pretty amazing.
It was kind of like maybe the lesson he got was to prove something to himself and to others.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about in-between lives.
In-between life. Well, home. I call it home. The big misconception usually about hypnosis would be, well, what happens if you get stuck in hypnosis? Well, first of all, you will never get stuck.
Yes.
But I do have clients who kind of don't want to leave. That's a different thing, though.
They don't want to leave home.
So the vibration of them being there, the experience of them being there is like, I belong here. Life as it is something you do. It's just another step in life as the soul. as I usually say, that being a human is just human journey. It's a spiritual journey, really, but it's just a soul journey as a human, right? It's part of your life. It's just another step, and this is one step on the big ladder of you as a soul, as a being, as an entity. So life between life is where you gather information, prepare for your lives, or help out others. It's kind of like a cool place because you never know what's going to happen. It's everybody's helping everyone, and it's where you can go to school, kind of in a very human kind of way. And it's where you prepare, it's where you reconnect with people, it's where you kind of take care of all your relationships, not just what's happening in this life, but everything. So, and it's kind of difficult to explain really if you haven't been there, because the ability, the things you can do is so much more than what's actually, available in life. So it's a pretty cool place.
So what about this notion, because Michael Newton talks about soul groups, how we come back and we reincarnate through soul groups, and we're experiencing lives with sometimes mostly the same people.
Oh, there's groups we prefer to do certain lives with. There's people or souls we prefer to have, do family stuff with. But it's still, it's not so common though. What I kind of feel is you might have single, maybe two people that kind of, it's the same people you kind of use from life to life, because maybe you're from the same soul origin group. You have helpers that is kind of secondary groups that kind of just fits in what you do, and they have different purposes. You have different purposes, different missions in life, but still kind of just help off each other a little bit as much as possible. So I do believe we have some very close groups that is kind of helping out, doing the best to make sure you will get your experience, and then maybe it pays off, you help them with their experience. So I'm pretty much with Newton on that one, but with some additions to it. Yeah.
Okay. And how do we plan to meet our soul, the people we're supposed to incarnate with? Is it we set this up beforehand, it's a chance meeting in a coffee shop, or how does that work? It all seems so complicated when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're both going to come down here. You're going to be 29 years old. I'm going to be 22 years old. We're going to run into each other in this coffee shop in the same neighborhood we live in.
And we know there's something called random, chance, and even destiny, right?
And synchronicity,
yeah.
yes.
And
definitely.
also that you have the opportunity to choose whatever we want as a human being. But I would say not just something, but everything is planned. But the only thing we cannot really control is time.
Okay, so explain that.
So I would say that kind of destiny or the goal of the current life is chosen already. How to get there, you kind of have an idea of it. You have some things planned that about this area in life, this is supposed to happen, but you have free will as a human. You can get influenced by your surroundings, by people you meet on the street, and it's not chance, but it's just you being pushed to a different time period. So it's kind of like if you miss the bus right now, it's okay, because you're going to get the next one anyway.
So that opportunity will come back around
definitely
a couple times?
And it might be that on a very high level of super consciousness, that you choose in the last minute to change plans because you want that other emotion. Something is happening right in front of you, and you kind of want to try out what is that about, and you want to add that to the whole complete experience. So nothing is planned out like step by step really, but we have a way to start. We hopefully have a way to end, and sometimes from experiences with clients that they kind of go through the death scene from a past life, and when I ask them, so did everything happen as it was supposed to? They go, no, not at all. Chance interrupted everything. Free will definitely stopped it, but they still got the learning. Sometimes they choose to come back and do it again because they want the real emotion. Sometimes the knowledge of how they could do things different is enough. So that's kind of the way I get it.
That is fascinating. So you have some really unique types of hypnosis therapy and trainings you offer. So let's start with DNA recovery hypnosis, because it sounds fascinating.
It sounds
what exactly is it?
DNA recovery is actually kind of like a new thing. I had a female client that has hip problems. She just got a new hip and all of that. And she was kind of complaining about the pain, about the disability to walk. And she was actually a student on a workshop. And I said, well, would you mind doing a session? And we kind of created some stuff on the way that I've been kind of thinking about for a while. Mm-hmm. What we did was actually access DNA material in her body, because if you've been at your best at some point in your life, it still remembers it.
It's in there.
Exactly, it's in there. It might be that through evolution, through the growth within life, that sometimes some things is not accessible anymore. But definitely, if it remembers how it was, you can change your body. Disease is something that happens in the moment, and it could be gone tomorrow. We'll see miracles, right?
Right.
Everything that's you, besides the teeth and your hair, is not older than 7 years. Everything is being exchanged, swapped, right?
Make a new body.
Exactly.
Every 7 years.
So how could it be that a disease could stay in the body for more than 7 years, really? Because if its cell is sick, it could be changed.
The cell carries the structure.
Exactly.
Of the disease, or
it has a memory.
Yeah, it has a memory.
Ask Bruce Lipton about that.
Yes.
He will definitely go on that
Bruce
road,
is
right?
Interesting.
And we changed it. So from one day to another, she was able to actually suddenly just walk in, have no trouble standing up for most of the day. She could move, she could bend her back and all that. She couldn't do that the day before, and that is kind of impossible with her condition.
Right, it's impossible. It defies our current medical
Exactly.
system.
Even had a guy with a skin disease, so he would have these pigmentation errors, like he became white in large areas. I can't remember the name of the disease.
Vitiligo?
Yeah, exactly. Vitiligo?
Vitiligo, it's the thing Michael Jackson had.
Exactly. And there's no way you can reverse that in any kind of way, because it progresses step by step. I'm not sure there's any medicine that could stop it right now, anything like that. But I had a guy, he was maybe 40% of his body was doing that. We made a DNA recovery, and he actually added something to the session while we're doing it that I'm using today in my sessions. And he's been seeing every expert on this area. Nothing could ever stop it. Not just did we stop it from one session, he actually went back. So it went back to 27% covering his body. So that is pretty amazing from one session.
And did it show up overnight, or did it take like a month?
It took like 3 months to the result really to be there, but he felt it. He said already the day after, I know it's changed, because he could feel it in his body. And that, that mindset alone changes everything, right?
Absolutely.
Because I'm kind of like, I don't care if it's the hypnosis, if it's the word I say.
Triggered it, yeah.
If they believe it, allow it to happen, right?
So whether you triggered his belief or you actually tapped into that blueprint of health.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
He accessed the DNA, and it just happened in front of him.
Wow. So what else have you been able to help people heal with the DNA recovery?
Well, everything from nerve damage to muscle problems, growth, athletes who want to get in better condition. Everybody can remember a time where they felt way better, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we can have athletes access that within actually hours. And
so athletic performance enhancement.
So they can enhance it, allow the body to take up oxygen way better than the blood, stuff like that. And you can do that through DNA recovery.
What about anti-aging? It sounds like
anti-aging.
This would be an argument not an argument, but this would be kind of a method to maybe turn the clock back, or
I'm pretty sure
slow it down. I don't know if you've had any experience or if you've wanted to take
No, I actually never did it.
But what about that? What do you think?
Well, a gold mine.
I know. In just one session.
If you could get it into a jar and put it on your face, it might be the the best way to sell it.
It just occurred to me that if you can access that blueprint.
But there's one thing we cannot do, and if there's a certain lifetime connected to a cell or how your body functions, I'm not truly sure we can extend that in any kind of way, because evolution put us here right now, and it takes many generations to change stuff. But if the condition was in your body already, we can access that again.
And they did some research where they took a group of people, I forget how old they were, probably 70s and 80s, and they set up a retreat center where they had everything from that time period. Everything looked like it. The music, you've heard of this?
Yes, exactly.
And I think blood tests showed that they had gone back in time, actually.
Exactly. They become more, clear-minded. They had way more energy. they started to eat better and less, less sleeping, less feeling ill and stuff like that. Yeah, they kind of woke up again.
Yeah, they woke up again, and I believe they actually looked younger when they came out too. So hey, you should think about anti-aging.
Exactly. On a jar.
Okay, so body language. I want you to tell our audience your story about the casino. Because Martin, no kidding, he told me this story and I laughed. I laughed because he was about ready to get...
Yeah. Well, last year I did this, workshop in body language. Mm-hmm. And I even had some magicians come up to me afterwards. Oh, we know what you did. And they started talking about this and that. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. Because some people do, like mentalists, and people do, like, they have gadgets for whatever. Sure. But I actually studied it. And I have a way to get a yes or no answer from people, even without the know it. So it's micro expressions, it's eye movements, it's tics, it's everything. So what I did last year was kind of like, I want to test out how good I am. So I had a $25 buy-in on a poker table downstairs. I never played poker live at all. And I sat down and, okay, let's play the novice. And I just pretended like, I was, playing stupid at playing poker. Yeah. And I figured out this, the patterns in how they played the game. Right. And suddenly I just started, stealing the pots away from them. And people kind of like, well, is this guy cheating or what's happening? And I knew at some point some of the floor managers was looking at my cards to make sure if I was actually counting cards or anything like that. But I was just chatting with people, like being really, not obnoxious, but chatting with people. And what happened was, from that $25 buy-in, within very little time, I was sitting with $500, even more actually. And people start to leave the table, and that's a problem. So I kind of got the message, because suddenly now 2 people were looking at me, and I felt like, okay, if I'm not moving right now, and the casino, security, right? I better leave now, otherwise I will get kicked out.
But you did try and demonstrate to them that you weren't cheating. You told me he actually played a hand.
I played a hand without
even looking at the hand,
even
just
looking
watching
at
the players.
Yeah, and I completely messed around with that other that other person that I was playing against, because everybody folded, and this one guy said, "Well, no way you can beat me," and I made him insecure, so he actually folded in the very end.
So you actually toyed with them a little bit too.
Yeah.
Wow, what a skill!
Yeah,
so all you poker players. I hate to say it, but
if the casino loses money, it's illegal.
Yeah, well, it's obviously they didn't like the fact that you were really skilled. They couldn't figure out how, because
they couldn't figure it out. No.
Yeah, they couldn't.
And that's enough reason to actually want to get me the hell out of there. Actually.
Yeah, that's a hysterical story. So, have you experienced any miracles by using hypnosis?
Well, I had several clients experience what they might call miracles, but the one I want to share is actually my own experience. Mm-hmm. I was born with a heart failure called Wolff-Parkinson-White, but I didn't discover that until I actually had a heart stroke when I was how old was I? 34, 35?
Oh, really?
My heart stopped, actually. And I knew for a fact that if you kind of provoke that throwing up gagging reflex, that your whole body resets and kind of kickstarts the heart again. So I knew at that moment something happened, like, whoa, my heart stopped. And I knew my phone is over there, and if I'm gonna grab it, I'm not sure I'm gonna, make it. Yeah, that's kind of the feeling, because I felt already a little bit woozy and stuff. So I just shoved my hand down there and almost threw up, and I felt my body restarting. And the day after, not until the day after, that's how I'm kind of brought up, I called the doctor saying, well, I had this experience. I don't think it's very good. And he said, are you kidding me? Get over here right now. And I got checked up several times, and I figured out that I had this extra little bump on when you saw the EKG. That means that I have this heart failure. And I was supposed to have, surgery. What they do is actually go into my heart, and they're gonna burn away some cells that is copying each other. So I have different parts of my heart trying to compete with each other. So suddenly my heart rate could go from 70 to 220, like that. And your veins feel like they're exploding. So what I kind of did not want was anesthesia. I don't know. I'm a little bit. I don't want to lose that kind of control. So I wanted to control it. So I asked the doctor, is there any way I can be allowed to do self-hypnosis on everything that has to do with anesthesia? And he said, there's no way unless you're allergic to it. I said, I'm allergic to it. He said, do you know for fact? I said, yeah, well, when I was a kid, I was supposed to have it, and I really had a bad experience, not knowing exactly what symptoms to say. And said, really? He said, yeah. And he went, okay, let's do it. If anything goes wrong, I will have a team of anesthetic doctors to do it. I said, no problem. So what happened was, I got that surgery. I controlled everything with my mind, but I did have problems. Because they gave me a drug that made my heart go completely, high tempo the whole time, and I couldn't control it, so I got scared. So I definitely felt everything they did, but I didn't say anything about it.
You felt?
Yeah, I felt it.
Is it open heart surgery?
No, it's actually through. They go through your groin and different other places,
Right.
and then do it. But trust me, you feel it.
Yeah, you lost.
Usually,
you slipped out
yeah,
of the self-hypnosis
definitely.
because
I even
fear.
reclined morphine and stuff like that because my body does not react to it. It takes a huge amount, before I get it. Then the second time, I asked for another doctor because the first one didn't do it right, and they had to go in and do it again. Otherwise, I needed to have a pacemaker, and I'm just turned 40.
Yeah.
I'm too young for a pacemaker, right? So they did it again. I controlled everything, and we're talking about like an almost 6 hour long operation.
Wow.
Yeah.
You stayed in self-hypnosis
Exactly.
for that long.
And the doctor, he was very fascinated with it, and we had an agreement when I was done, and tapped me twice and said we're done, and woke me up, and that was kind of it. So he did that, and when he had done it, he said, and now I will remove the catheter. And he just he just took it. I was like, ow! I felt that, trust me. But beyond
Did he kind of forget?
yeah, he forgot about it. But it just made me really trust it, and I didn't thought it was possible. But you can go on YouTube. There's people having brain surgeries and playing the guitar at the same time.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome, actually.
No, I have seen.
Yeah.
I used to know a doctor who did it, and
So-
people would just get their teeth
Exactly.
extracted, cut out.
So we did that, and then the doctor, the second one, the surgeon, said, "This is kind of interesting. I want to. What else can you do?" And I was hooked up to all these machines and stuff. I said, I never tried this. Let's play with with the heart rate and the blood
Right.
pressure. And I could move it from within 10 seconds. I could take it from 167 down to 80, even down to 30 at one point. And he was like looking at the machine, like looking at me. I just focused because it just came out of that operation. So it kind of felt like
You were in the
I'm in
zone.
control, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I like that. Officially, the machine is broken, but I like it. And this is so typical, the world of
Yeah.
doctors, isn't it? Medicine doesn't really approve that what we can do with our mindset is so much stronger. So
Right.
the miracle is really that the placebo effect is so much stronger than everything else, isn't it?
It sure
If you
is.
trust it, you can do it.
Right. So if you could leave our audience with one thing about maybe how they can utilize this power of the mind or take care of their unconscious in a proper way, what would you want to say to them?
I think I want to share a secret
Oh,
because everybody has dreams, right?
yes.
I'm pretty sure you have dreams also. What the fun thing about this is the human mind usually chases its dreams. And people think about dreams like, well, it's not going to happen. It's way out there. And they kind of lose track of it and kind of accept that there's no progress. Well, if you sit down and think about your dreams, think about if that dream was happening right now, I'm pretty sure you will feel differently, emotion-wise, conditional-wise, how your mindset works, how everything actually works, changes in that moment. And even though you're just pretending that that dream is happening right now, it could not happen if you don't have it in you already. You cannot feel that if it's not part of your body already. You cannot change your mindset if you're not able to change your mindset.
So you have to have experienced it once before to re-experience?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
because you might have, hidden skills and hidden resources within you. So if you have a thought that creates something, you already have the emotion. So you don't have to chase it, it's already in you. So if you kind of just accept the moment, you can change in an instant. So everybody who's watching, go down and sit down, close your eyes, think about those dreams, pretend it's now and feel the difference.
I see.
And you're actually you're living your dream at this moment. So everything is possible.
So it's about basically changing.
Manifestation.
Wonderful. Is that going to be your next course?
Maybe, who knows?
Wonderful. Thanks for being a
You're
part of
welcome.
the show.
It was really nice to be here.